Hello booktube, hello book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel and another reading week video. This one for the week ending Saturday the 18th of October 2025. It's been a busy week for me, as exemplified by the complete lack of videos this week, so apologies for that. There was no tag video, there was no Poetry Thursday video. In fact, I don't think I've posted anything other than the previous reading week's video. That said, I have managed to at least do some reading, albeit really finishing up books that I mentioned last week, but I have finished 2 books this week. The first of those is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which I've been reading as part of a small group read with Pat, a book chat with Pat Lecton at Reading from the Depths, Marianne Dreyer at Books and Bocadillos, and Gareth at Books, Songs and Other Magic. I have finished it. I did enjoy it. I'm not going to say any more about it because we are meeting for a group Zoom call later on today, so I don't want to kind of get ahead of myself, so I have to circle back for my thoughts on this, other than to say I did really enjoy it, so that was good. The other book I mentioned last week that I was reading was The Ratline by Philippe Sands. This probably will be in my top 10 books of 2025. I wasn't sure I was going to find any more books before the end of the year that were going to make that list, but this one pretty much will. I'm certain it will. This is the story of, essentially the story of Otto von Vector, who was an SS Obergruppenführer, so about as high ranking as you can possibly be, kind of equivalent of, sort of general, major general in the Allied army. And he was stationed in lots of different places, but he was stationed in Limburg in the Ukraine. And this story really centers around a couple of things. Firstly, his attempted evasion of capture at the end of the Second World War, when he was trying to get on what was known as the Ratline, which was effectively the escape route for Nazi officers from Rome to South America, predominantly Argentina, but also Chile and other South American countries. And his relationship with his wife, Charlotte, and their, I think, 6 children, but in particular, one of their children, Horst, who didn't really believe that his father was guilty of a lot of the crimes that he had been accused of. So he felt that he was only following orders, that he would never have actively participated in any of the killings and murders of civilians that took place, or the rounding up and transportation of Jews to concentration camps and death camps. There is kind of some evidence that Horst has that supports this, which is kind of letters between his mother and father, so Otto and Charlotte, and he isn't closed to the suggestion that his father was guilty, but neither is he particularly open to it either. So this follows that story. It also links to Philippe Sands' previous book, East West Street, which relates to another Nazi, Hans Frank, whose son Nicholas is in a completely different place to Horst. So Nicholas very much does believes that his father was guilty. There is a little bit of difference between the two cases, in that in Hans Frank's case he was tried. In Otto von Vechter's case, he never came to trial because he died before the trial took place, and there is some question, which is resolved in the book, as to whether he died of natural causes or was murdered by any number of actors. So it's really interesting. It's thoroughly well researched. I mean, the detail in the research is pretty amazing. I mean, granted that Philippe Sands has obviously access to all of those private papers, but also has access to the Allied archives, the German archives, and so on. But it is really a fascinating story, which, as I say, is probably going to be in my top 10 books of this year. Really enjoyed it. I have Philippe Sands' next book, which is 38 Laundry Street, which deals with the relationship between another Nazi who did make it through the Ratline to Chile, and his relationship with General Pinochet, which I think is going to be equally as interesting. I'm not sure whether I will get a chance to read that before the year is out or not, but yeah, so there is, a kind of a series of Nazis who are all known to one another, and what they did in the war, Second World War, and what happened to them afterwards. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend this if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in the Second World War and things, you're probably not going to be as interested as I was. But I think, in terms of just the research that he did, even to the point of so Von Vector tried, he escaped from Germany by trying to cross the Austrian Alps into Italy, and Sands and his daughter even retraced what they think was probably his likely route, and in a more clement season than Von Vector would have done. So it's kind of, he really does kind of go the extra mile with the research in this book, to the point of trying to see if what was reported as his kind of escape route was actually even feasible. So yeah, I would, as I say, recommend this. So that just brings me to what I'm reading now, and I've gone back to the next book in the D'Artagnan romances. So this is Alexandre Dumas' 20 Years After. I'm not very far in. What's that, 56 pages, so haven't really got going with this yet. Quite a chunky book. I'm hoping to get this finished by the end of the month, so it's nearly 800 pages, but I've got 2 weeks, so yeah, I should be able to do that. But yeah, so just started this, so haven't really got into it. I will say, in terms of translation, this is Oxford World's Classic, and all of the translations I've had to date have been, I think, slightly more modern than the translation here. So it's different to the kind of Dumas that I've read in The Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo. So we'll see. I don't like it quite as much. It's not archaic or anything like that. It's just noticeably different anyway. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's my kind of current read. And that, I think, is it for now. There is going to be, as trailed last week, a live Q&A. It's my first booktube anniversary tomorrow, Sunday. And I am doing a live with Greg from Ghost Readers in the Sky, who is going to field me all the questions that you guys have asked. If you've got any more questions now, pop them. I will link to that post below. Either pop them as a comment on that post or in the chat for that post. And if we have time, we will get to them. We've got quite a few. I think we can do them all in a, without running for hours and hours. So we'll get to as many of them as we can. If there are any we don't get to, I'll try and do a separate video, I think, to answer the ones that if we don't get to them, we'll cover separately. But yeah, I'll link to that down below. Hope to see you there. It's 2:30 in the afternoon UK time, British summer time, so whatever that is that 9:30 Eastern time? And then I don't know where else in the world you are, but yeah, 2:30 British summer time. So yeah, hope to see you there, and hopefully normal service or something equating to normal service will be resumed next week. If you have been, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.